Hi, I'm Chris Burdick, CPA, creator of EasyBooks by Chris. And thank you for purchasing the EasyBooks by Chris Small Business Bookkeeping and Tax Workbook. I created this for small businesses and freelancers to help bookkeeping and simplify tax season. Let's get started.
Okay, welcome back. This is the creating and managing an invoice tutorial. This is going to specifically focus on these three tabs: the invoice builder, invoice register, and printable invoice. So let's go ahead and get started. Sure you've looked at this by now. This is our invoice builder. This is basically where you will create invoices, and then you will take this information and save it into the register, which will then feed into the printable invoice tab where you can print and send invoices to customers. So if you look at this, there's a little blue box over here to the right where essentially it's start a new invoice. This is more for if you or create one invoice here and then have to create another one. But you'll basically what I want to allude to here is this clear all the gray input tabs. You'll see here all of these ones that are gray. These are the only tabs that need to be adjusted. Everything else is formula driven. So basically, when you create a new invoice, that's what this help box is telling you. When you create a new invoice, you want to clear all those out. Basically, just select all those and then delete. Um, the page is protected, so if you try to delete anything other than those, it won't let you. So anyway, I'll show you how that goes after we create this first one. So I'm just going to create a sample, just a fake invoice here. Customer. The customer information feeds in from the customers tab. I have not run through this other than in the full walkthrough. So if you need help on either the settings or the customers tabs, I would recommend the full walkthrough to um, get acquainted with those. Um, but basically, you'll choose the customer with which you're billing. ABC Plumbing, we'll call it. Um, all that information is already housed in the customers tab, so it populates here. And then the invoice date, this invoice date will default to today's date. The payment terms, this is whatever you set it to be in the customers tab. So you can see net 30 there. And then the due date will say, we'll take, it's a calculation based off of what the payment terms are and the invoice date. But really all you have to do is choose the customer. That all pre-populates, and then you'll move down here. This is just a free text box where you will type in whatever you're billing for. So bookkeeping monthly, tax prep, we'll call this payroll. And then here's your quantity. So for monthly bookkeeping, we'll say maybe it's 3 months. The rate $200 a month. And then this column here is whether or not this is a taxable line item. So if you want to tax whatever line is in this, you want to click on this drop down, say yes, and you'll see that it'll feed down to the sales tax total at the bottom. Tax prep, we'll finish this up. One tax prep, $1,000. We will say no to taxable. Payroll, we ran three of those for 150 each. And yes, those are taxable. So now you have all of your line items, quantity, rate, taxable or not. This is the subtotal amount, which you'll see here, and then the sales tax is here. Um, so there's one more box down here, customer notes. If you want to say something nice like "Thank you for your business," or something, whatever you choose to make a little note to your whoever you're sending the invoice to. So now you can see this has an invoice number here that pre-populates based on the invoice register. You've now got everything filled out for your invoice. So really, this is the most important part of this whole file, is to do this part correctly. Okay, so you'll see down here at the bottom, to save the invoice to the register, you want to start here right below the copy start, highlight all the way over to copy end, copy that. You'll move it over to the invoice register, see where it says paste invoice values here. You'll go here. Another important step, you want to make sure you do paste value. You don't want to copy over the formulas with it. If you don't do paste value, it'll copy over all the formulas here. You don't want that. But you can see now that you paste value that correctly, all of these items populate. This paid column will populate when you insert a payment from the payment log, so you don't need to really worry about that just yet. But now you have this first invoice, this INV 1001, is now saved firmly into the invoice register. So we'll go back and we'll touch up on this. If you needed to create another one, you would basically clear out anything in those shaded grays, and it'll start you on invoice 2, and you can see the invoice register still has the invoice 1 data, so that is fully in here and saved, so that's not going anywhere. So once you have your invoice in the invoice register, you can come over to the printable invoice, right? And this is a drop down, so what you see right now, it defaults to the first invoice, but once you have more invoices in here, there will be a whole list. All of the invoices that you have in the invoice register, you can pull up over here, and it will populate everything you need, including your thank you for your business. And that way you can just print this, save it as a PDF, and send it off. So it's pretty easy. The only thing that you need to do on this tab is just choose the invoice. That's it. If you want, this is another little sidebar over here. You'll see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are grouped data, and so ultimately what this does is, this is 13 rows deep. If you only have 3 lines that you're actually using, you could choose maybe 5. It'll close up that gap a little bit, so 3 will get you about like that, so it just makes it maybe a little bit more visually appealing. But if you don't care about that, you can click on 7. That gives you the full, and then you can just Control P or go up File Print, and you can see here is your invoice. Now this EasyBooks by Chris here, is based off what you put in your settings tab. So if you put your business name there, that'll come up as your printable invoice header here. So along with also all of these EasyBooks by Chris will be your company. So that's all built off the settings, which is the first thing you should do when getting this file. So, okay, so that is how you build and manage an invoice. I'm going to do a payment log and EasyBooks export tutorial next, and then I will have the full walkthrough as well. So if you have any questions, I would first try those other videos, and then you can always reach out to me down here with the need help, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.